The initial analysis that's been conducted of the events that were reported overnight is not consistent with North Korean claims of a successful hydrogen bomb test. There's nothing that's occurred in the last 24 hours that has caused the United States government to change our assessment of North Korea's technical and military capabilities. Now, I hasten to add that we're continuing to the work necessary to learn more about the nuclear test that North Korea conducted last night. But you've probably seen by now the extensive independent analysis that's been done in the United States and in other countries that includes significant and understandable skepticism about the claims of the North Korean, skepticism of the claims of the North Korean regime. So, we're obviously going to continue to look at this by monitoring the situation, assessing the available data and evidence, but the initial analysis is not consistent with the claims that the regime has made of a successful hydrogen bomb test.
So at this point, can you rule out that it was an H-bomb, or just so far you haven't seen that?
Based on this initial analysis that has been completed, the initial analysis indicates that the initial analysis is not consistent with the North Korean claims of a successful hydrogen bomb test.
Regardless of what this was, it was clearly a provocative act. And Josh, every time that North Korea does something like this, and we all have this response about what we're going to do about it, there seems to be some lack of confidence that the options that we have available to us through the UN, such as sanctions, are really up to the job of stopping North Korea from going down this path. We slap some new sanctions on them, and they basically ignore it and keep doing what they're doing. Is the White House confident that the new sanctions that you're calling for today at the Security Council, for example, are capable of securing your goal of preventing North Korea from becoming a nuclear state?
Mm-hmm. Well, Josh, you're right to point out that any kind of nuclear test, like the one that North Korea conducted last night, is provocative and a flagrant violation of United Nations Security Council resolutions, not just one, but any number of them. And based on reports of that nuclear test, both the United States and Japan called an emergency United Nations Security Council meeting. That meeting did recently conclude, and the result of that meeting was that additional measures against North Korea would be considered for their violation of these violation of their international obligations. What is true is that North Korea continues to be one of the most isolated nations in the world. And their isolation has only deepened as they have sought to engage in increasingly provocative acts. These include not just nuclear tests, but some of the ballistic missile tests that have attracted some attention over the years as well. What the United States has succeeded in doing under the leadership of President Obama is not just further isolating the North Koreans, but also cementing the international unanimity of opinion that North Korea needs to end these provocations, needs to commit to a denuclearized Korean peninsula, and demonstrate a commitment to some peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. And it is notable that it's not just our stalwart allies in the Asia Pacific, like South Korea and Japan, who are voicing their disapproval of these North Korean actions. It's also notable that our collective statements are echoed by countries like China and Russia, with whom we don't always agree. So, we've already seen quite strong statements from those countries that echo the sentiments that I have just relayed to you, and I think that is an indication that the interests of the United States can be successfully advanced through principled, focused, tenacious diplomatic engagement. And That's what we're going to continue to pursue.
If sanctions and diplomacy don't work, is military option on the table if North Korea continues to march towards a nuclear weapon?
Mm-hmm. Well, Josh, the thing that I should reiterate at this point is the rock-solid commitment on the part of the United States to the safety and security of our allies in South Korea. That commitment also extends to the safety and security of our allies in Japan. And we have demonstrated our significant investment in that security relationship. And there's no doubting the strength of that commitment. But at this point, what we want the North Koreans to do, and when I say we, I don't just mean the United States, I mean our allies and our partners in the six-party talks, is we want the North Koreans to end their provocative acts, both in the form of missile tests and nuclear tests, to commit to denuclearization, and to demonstrate a commitment to pursuing peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula. We're not asking them to do that out of charity. We actually also believe that would be in the interests of the North Korean people and certainly the broader region. And that was the goal of the six-party talks, and we would like the North Koreans to begin to orient their public posture and their behavior in the direction of constructive international engagement.